Gotta take off the lens. What's going on, everybody? Good morning and welcome. Today is Monday. It's April 11th, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Yay! I'm so excited. It's decaf, but it's time. It's time. I'm ready. And good morning to Mark and Jenny and Liz and Gad and Tommy and all the rest of you, whether you're watching live later or listening. Thanks for coming by. How are you? How was your weekend? What did you do? Did you train? Did you go to a competition? Did you read a book? Did you watch cheesy martial arts movies? Did you do something that's martial arts related? Did you do what I did, which was train? Friday had a nice long session training kickboxing with my good friend Terry Dow, and it was great. It was great. Some of the stuff I've been working on, he was able to see some difference. So my hook punch. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Frank. My hook punch is not as bad as it was. We're getting there. We're getting there, and we will continue to get there. Good morning, Kelly. Other things that I did some stuff around the house on Saturday, did a whole bunch of errands, went to the range. Yesterday, I made a quick out and back to Maine, grabbed a few things, the last things that I'm going to have to grab from the house, my father's home that I sold to the tenants. They found some stuff in a closet. They're like, hey, do you want this? And I don't, but other people in the family do. So I went and grabbed them, those things. It was nice to have a trip where I didn't have the car completely full. Oh, and now it's Monday. Weekends are too short. I don't even feel like I worked Friday and it's still too short, even though I did like 2 hours at a Panera. Weekends are too short, you guys. I decided it was time to have coffee again. I've had over the last, how long has it been? Month? I've had coffee. I think I've had like 3 cups of coffee. One of them might have been caffeinated. The other 2 were decaf. And I don't know if you remember when I'd come back from Belize, I was playing this theory that maybe I'm allergic to coffee. There was something. No, it's not that. There's something else. I got a new theory. Not ready to share it. That's okay. We're working on it. Jenny says, train Saturday, clean Sunday, still somehow didn't have enough time to do what I wanted to do. There never is. I'm going to remind you several times during this show, tonight, 8:30. Basically, whatever you do to get on this show, episode 700, we're doing it live. And I can't tell you much about it because Andrew's got a bunch of surprises. He likes doing that. So we talked about a format. There are going to be a bunch of guests asking questions. Actually, that I think I'm asking questions of. If I remember correctly, that's what we're doing. If you like when we've done the live Q&As, and you like a couple of times we've brought on guests to ask questions, it's closest to that in format. I'm looking forward to it. We'll run from 8:30 to, I don't know, 9:30, 10 Eastern. We'll see what happens, but I hope some of you can make it. 700 episodes. That's why there's no episode in your podcast feed today. 700 episodes. I feel like at this point, I have to get to 1,000, which is 3 more years. But the idea that I kind of have to now, I do have a friend who stopped a podcast at $4.99 just to kind of be a jerk. So I guess there's an option in there, but I'm not going to take it. Tommy says he trained and worked on a new form. Good morning, Brian. He says, awesome milestone. Thank you, my friend. So yesterday, I want to share this. It has nothing to do with martial arts other than, no, it doesn't, but I'm going to share it anyway. I've been looking for a new winter coat. Ordered a coat from one of the large online retailers that has a physical presence in Vermont. I like the company. It's REI. I don't mind saying it's REI. REI is a great company. They do good things. I like their stuff, etc. So I ordered like their low end winter jacket. expecting it would be a suitable replacement for my 12-year-old Eddie Bauer puffy jacket. If you've ever seen me in winter, there's a good chance in the last decade, you've probably seen me wearing this orange jacket. It's rather distinctive. And so I ordered another orange jacket, and it came in. It wasn't well made. Most of the stuff they make is really well made, but I think that I just was trying to go a little too cheap. So I returned it, and over the last year, I've become aware of a company in New Hampshire that makes their own stuff in New Hampshire. I was like, that's kind of cool. And I thought I knew where they were. I looked up, and I just made a slight change in how I got to Maine yesterday. They were even open on Sundays. So I drove in. Lincoln, New Hampshire. And not only did I go to the spot, they actually sew everything in the retail space. Like, you can see all the sewing machines. And had a nice chat with a woman who worked there, not one of the owners from what I could tell. But for less than the price I was going to pay for the caliber of jacket I wanted from, Patagonia or any of the big brands, I got a nicer jacket that was made right there. And this hoodie was on there. What did they call it? The learning rack. They actually take stuff, if it's sewn together and it's not quite right because someone's new. So I got this thing for I don't know, like $20 off. It is the softest fabric I've ever put on. It's incredible. I love it. So that's why I'm not wearing a whistlekick hoodie today, because I was excited to put on this hoodie. So there you go. What else did everybody do? Let's see. Brian says Renee and Cassidy tested positive Thursday morning. Oh, boo. Dev went on Saturday, myself yesterday. So our entire house is fighting this thing. Guess it was just our turn. I'm sorry. I hope you all are okay. I hope you aren't getting it too bad. It's not a great weekend. No, certainly not. Liz says, we went and visited some friends in Brookfield, Vermont. Came back Sunday, did household chores. Tommy says, my LL Bean barn coat is my winter staple. LL Bean makes great stuff. Frank says, months ago, I bought a high visibility jacket for when I bring carts and bring in carts. Totally. Yeah. It is interesting to watch these two fighting principles, and I think we can connect these dots to martial arts. Most of what we wear, clothing-wise, and I don't mean necessarily any one person, but just broadly in the Western world, specifically the US, because that's what I know, because that's where I live. Most of what we wear is made overseas because it is less expensive to do so, even factoring in travel. There's an economics lesson in here. If you want it, one of the things I find interesting is when folks are pushing for both domestic manufacturing and increasing minimum wages. It's tough to do that. Not impossible. Tough to do that. But most of us are wearing that stuff, but then you've got higher priced, often higher caliber, because that's how they can justify higher prices, which is what they need for smaller scale, domestic manufacturing. The masses versus kind of the niche products, the commercial versus maybe a little more of the, I don't know if I want to call it boutique, but I don't have a better word yet. The boutique. And we could say the same thing about martial arts. If you think about martial arts trading, drinking coffee, so good. If you think about the majority of martial arts schools, right? When you think of the typical martial arts school, what do you think of? Large space, lots of people training, and everyone doing the same things. And that's the challenge, is that maybe the things that are being done are not what everyone in the class needs. Maybe it's what most of the people in the class need. So what about the people who would be at greater benefit doing something different, right? They are not progressing at the speed at which they could. But to have a lot of individualized instruction is much more expensive, yet you would progress faster. So there we go. It's the same. It's an economy of scale. There's a lot of other words we could throw in there to describe it. But this is why when I work with martial arts schools and I encourage them, hey, you should be offering and encouraging private lessons. And yes, you should be charging for them. And yes, you should be charging appropriately for them. This is why I do. Because the amount of benefit someone gets out of an hour of one-on-one training, assuming that person has been training for a little while, grossly exceeds what they would get out of 1, 2, often 5 or 10 hours of class training. Something to keep in mind. What else to say? What's going on today? So, interestingly, I think Jenny is my only meeting this morning. My other two got canceled. I think both temporarily. I don't know. One of them is unclear. One's definitely temporary because the client's out of town on vacation. I like when my clients go on vacation because it means I don't have as much to do. And it's on them because I don't have much to do. So they're not upset. Coffee. Sometime this week, I will be telling you guys about the thing that I did for myself. And it's funny, I wake up, it's one of the first things I think of. I'm like, I did that. I'm excited. I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do the big reveal. But I don't know. I'll figure that out. Stacy's hit day 100 in, she's using capital letters, the book. Of course, by the book, she means 12 months to health. How are you feeling? And Stacy, would you mind answering that question? How do you feel? Brian asked, did you buy a golf cart? No, but full disclosure, I've thought about it several times. They're way more expensive than they should be. Seriously, like the gap between a decent golf cart and like a four-wheeler is not as big as one might think. And I've actually considered getting a four-wheeler because there's plenty of trails around here. And so obviously I didn't get a four-wheeler. And there are plenty of uses on my little farm here. You know, there are a bunch of big rocks that I could wrap some tow straps around and pull out of their holes and relocate. There's a lot of things I could do with a four-wheeler, which is why I actually have been thinking about getting a four-wheeler. So maybe I get a quad. I'd rather have a tractor, but a tractor's much more money. A decent, like a low end tractor is like 15 grand. And it's really hard to justify spending 15 grand on a tractor for a 1 acre property. I would use it a lot, but I think my neighbors would think I was insane. Stacy says in response, feeling better by comparison. Glad the outside hit this month and not in February. You know, and one of the whole premise of this book, for those of you who don't have it, is that it's slow, steady progress. If you want a book that's going to transform your life in 30 days in an unsustainable way because they make you give up everything else and you've got this like completely different lifestyle, there are lots of books written that way. We wrote a book that is reasonable and sustainable. You make one small change a month. That's all you have to do. And I don't think, Jenny, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any of the chapters tell you to stop doing anything. It tells you to do something else instead. You know, like the example we keep giving because it's the first chapter. Start your day with a big glass of water. We don't tell you what to drink after that. We don't tell you that if you've been drinking, you know, a liter of mellow yellow as your morning beverage, that you have to stop doing that. But I believe if you start your day drinking a glass of water, you're probably going to drink less mellow yellow or whatever else. You know, you're drinking 32-ounce Monster energy drinks, like whatever. No judgment in the book. You know that that's probably not the best thing for you. Not even probably. You know it's not the best thing for you. But let's just get some water in you first. Simple enough. She says, I am correct. You are correct, sir. Good. Okay. And I think that that's an important psychological aspect. If you teach martial arts, whether or not you've realized it, take a moment, think about what I'm going to say. When you make a correction with someone, which is easier to get them to do? Stop doing this or start doing that? It's a lot easier in almost every case to get someone to start doing something else. Don't do that. Okay, but what do I do instead? And they're going to fall back on that pattern. But if you can find a way to say, instead of doing this, do this other thing, it doesn't create a vacuum. Vacuums need to get filled. If someone has conditioned themselves to doing a certain thing and now they're like, don't put your hands there. Okay, but where do I put my hands? I don't care. Put them anywhere else. Well, that's not a good instructional cue. Okay. You'll get there, Stacy. You will get there. What did I get yesterday? So at the company is called Version. Where's the tag? There's a tag. Can I show you the tag without showing you my belly? There's the tag. Version. Yeah, some of their stuff is made in Fall River, Mass, but actually I think this garment, nope. There was another garment they showed me. Garment. Can you tell I was at a place where they sew things? She was referring to them as garments. Now it's in my head. I lost my train of thought. Completely lost my train of thought. I don't know. I guess we're moving on. Gad says, when I was a teacher, I almost never said, don't run on the stairs. I said, please walk. Yeah. And Jenny says, in many cases, making these changes will create a positive enough change that you may drop unhealthy habits naturally because you will start to notice how they negatively impact you. Yes. Can somebody look it up? Burgeon. I think it's burgeonoutdoor.com. I don't remember. I've only been to the website like 37 times. Seriously, for the last 6 months, I've been looking at their stuff. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you about coffee. So I pulled up, and there was a nice coffee shop, and I was like, this is a kind of a fun day. Like I'm doing a little bit of shopping. I also stopped in North Conway, and if you ever drive through North Conway, if you want the place that has the best deals, it is the Columbia outlet in the Settlers Green Mall. I bought a zip-up fleece and a fleece vest for $24. I thought the vest was going to be like 18 and they'd missed a markdown on it. It was 10. Every time I go in that place, I end up spending less than I think I'm going to. How often can you say that? But this coffee place, I was like, I'm going to get a cup of coffee. And now it's a very anticlimactic story. I got coffee, and then I drove, and I listened to podcasts, and I went on the Kangamangas Highway, and it was foggy. And an out-of-stater decided that on the steep downhill part, they were going to turn into someplace and not use their blinkers. So we almost had an accident because I just thought they were riding their brakes down. Whoops. Thankful for cars that beep at you. Brian, was the coffee any good? Yes. It was really good coffee. It was quite good coffee. Lincoln, New Hampshire is an interesting little town. And when, it's pretty much built around skiing. They have I don't remember the name of the ski mountain that's right there. Anyway, but outside of ski season, it's a funky little town. Like it reminds me of Stowe. It dries up a lot, but not completely. And, there's some good people there. Take care, Andy. Stacy says, Kangamangas is just so much fun to say. And you know the best part about that, Stacy, is that's how we all say it. That's not how it's spelled. There's no second N in it. It's Kangamangus, but we all say Kangamangus because it's more fun. Tommy says, I love fleece jackets and that highway. There you go. All right. Frank sent over some stuff for us. So let's talk about it. All right. So yesterday, the 10th, Steven Frederic Seagal turned 70. Did any of you see Jesse Ancomp's video? He went to Dubai and spent a day with Seagal. Kind of neat. We've got some quotes. 1, try to find the path of least resistance and use it without harming others. Live with integrity and morality, not only with people, but with all beings. Of course, Seagal is an Aikido practitioner in Aikidoka, and this is core to what they do. I think it's a shame that we have this kind of in current times, we have this revisionist attitude towards Seagal and Aikido. And it all comes from the premise that people say the stuff doesn't work because there are a handful of videos that keep getting circulated. And people, well, that's in a controlled environment. Yeah. You want him to go get into a fight on the street to prove to you that it's going to work? That's also a controlled environment because it's intentional. Just because Aikido isn't the best option for self-defense doesn't mean it's not an option. And it doesn't mean it doesn't come along with a whole bunch of other things. Like, being peaceful. 2, one must first learn to heal people to be great. To hurt people is easy. It's true. Think about that quote from the perspective of emotion, of discussion, of like just kind, non-violent exchange. It's a lot easier to use words that hurt people. Most of the words we use are neutral. What about words that make people feel better about themselves? Think about your day yesterday. How many people said how many things that lifted you up? Very few. But day to day, most of us hear something from someone that tears us down a bit. I had a couple nice exchanges with folks while I was shopping. And I got smiles out of them. Even if you don't know people, there are ways you can be kind and make them feel good. You can make them feel appreciated. That's an easy one. And it can be as simple as shifting words from, hey, thank you, to, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your help. I'm really thankful. Things like that. And number 3, any great warrior is also a scholar and a poet and an artist. And I think you could say it as succinctly as the best warriors have something to fight for. They know the value of defending the creations of the people that they are protecting. Good stuff. Thank you, as always, to Frank. And I asked you guys, I had asked you a question, and I'd love for all of you to think about this and answer this. This will be a quick conversation. Is your martial arts journey unfolding as expected? Ray says, nope. When I started martial arts many years ago, it was because I was working in corrections and wanted to learn some things to better protect myself. But through this journey, I've met many amazing people and realized that the camaraderie is way more valuable and powerful than some technique or quote, move. The self-discovery and show myself that I can accomplish goals is where I'm at now. Will I ever be able to do a jump back kick again? Nope, but that's not important. Taking what I learn and helping me become the best where I'm at is my goal. Hey, if you want to do a jump back kick again, I guarantee you could. If you can walk, you can jump. Nobody said you had to jump really high. And Mark says, nope, it's even better. So how about those of you watching? Has your martial arts journey unfolding as you'd expected? The questions like this, I don't know how to answer them because I started when I was 4. I didn't have any expectations. I just went and did this thing that my mom told me would be fun. So I did it. And then I didn't stop. And now it's today. Oh, cool. Sonia says, my dad drove us on the Kangamangas highway before it was finished being built. His old station wagon bottomed out and he lost his muffler. To say my mom was not the adventurous type is an understatement. Oh, that's funny. For those of you who are from away, the Kangamangas highway doesn't just go between mountains. It kind of goes over one. It was probably an old footpath at one point, and it's incredibly scenic. Over the course of the summer, it's bumper to bumper because there are, I think, 3 scenic pull-offs where you have some incredible views of the White Mountains, and it's a popular road for motorcyclists. I've been on it on my motorcycle once, and it's great going up. It's a lot of fun. Going down, you're just riding brakes. It's not. I try not to go over that road in the middle of summer. If I've got friends visiting or something, and I think that they'll want to see it, we'll do that. But it's yeah, your brakes are going to be hot when you get to the bottom. Jenny says, in answer to the question, I'd have to say no. I signed up to train originally to have an activity to do with my kids. One of my boys has since decided to take a break, and that broke my heart. That doesn't mean that I am not enjoying the journey I'm on. I will follow the path wherever it leads me. I like that. I think that's where we should follow any path. I think we get into trouble when we say, I want this path to go here. Well, you might have another path. You might have to wait. You might have to follow the path you're on. Here's a good analogy. Have you ever been driving somewhere and let's pretend it's somewhere you don't know, and whether it's GPS or ideally, for those of us old enough to remember, you're using a map. And let's say you're trying to get north, but the road you're on is bringing you like east, kind of northeast, and you're like, but I feel like this is taking me away from my destination. Well, there isn't a direct route from where you are to where you're trying to go. You have to travel that kind of northeast route until there's a junction so you can make a correction and make your turn. But if you're not paying attention, you might miss the turn. And then you might have to wait a long time. And then the junction may not even take you where you're trying to go, but at least more in the direction and helps you double back. Sometimes you got to turn around, and that's okay. You just got to go where the path leads you. Gad says, same here. I had no expectations. Started at 11 and just let the path unfold in front of me. That definitely was the case when the thing happened. Had to train indoors by myself. Missed the training with others, but it gave me an opportunity to revisit the basics and explore a more, quote, inner side. Kelly says, I'm very fortunate that my martial arts journey is bigger and better than I ever could have imagined. I received more love and support through martial arts. That's awesome. I can say the same. Even though I didn't have expectations, after doing something for 20 years, you start to get into a routine. And whistlekick, just as it has for many of you, has shaken up my routine. I do things I never imagined I would do. I had to develop skill sets I definitely did not have. Perfect example, early days of this show. And I've met people who are absolutely wonderful, and I cannot imagine my life without them now. Tommy says, the journey is everything I've become. I like that. For those of you who aren't answering, which is totally fine, or maybe you watch or listen later, I'd like you to think about your martial arts journey. I'd like even if you didn't have expectations going in, you probably have expectations now. You expect that you're probably going to continue to learn and you're going to continue to enjoy it. Those expectations are based on past experience. What else do you expect? What do you hope? If you envision yourself 5, 10, 20, 50 years later, what would you hope you could say about the future time in training? As a martial artist, what would you want to say about it? I think these are important questions because it helps you understand what matters to you. And when we understand what matters to us, we can make better choices. There you go. I hope you have a great day. Reminder, I want to see as many of you as possible tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, for episode 700 of Martial Arts Radio. It will end up on the podcast feed at some point. I don't know when. Probably Wednesday would be my guess. So if you can't make it live, that's okay. But I hope you can. If you want to support us, three biggies. Grab something like this mug at whistlekick.com using the code FIRSTCUP15. Almost slipped there. You could contribute to the Patreon, patreon.com. Remember, Patreon is patreon.com/whistlekick. You can start $2 a month. Seriously, $2 a month. You get behind the scenes on things. And even though you're not supposed to get bonus audio and video, sometimes I open up the audio and video for that tier. But if you want the whole list, the entire plethora, there's a good word, of ways that you could help us on our mission, whistlekick.com/family. Don't forget, we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, on Facebook, on YouTube. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're on Twitter. Tuesday and Thursday, we're on Twitch. And if you have questions or comments, you can leave them at the Facebook page, facebook.com/firstcup with Jeremy. If you don't do Facebook, that's okay. Email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. Thank you, everybody. And we'll end on this note. Thank you to Gad, giving us a great one to end on. Discovered whistlekick when I was in a bad place and has definitely had a positive influence on my martial arts in life. Thanks, man. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a big, helpful, global, positive community of martial artists. We all do different stuff, but we all do it for our own reason. And that is the same reason. We do it because we want to. Whatever the sub elements of that are, secondary. Have a fantastic day. Well, I hope to see many of you tonight. Take care and be well. Peace.